Good morning, students. Welcome all of you in this online English core class. So, today in this class, I'll start a new chapter. This is a Lost Spring, chapter 2 of Flamingo book. So, this is written by Anis Jung, okay, and subtitling Stories of Stolen Childhood. Stolen Childhood, Lost Spring, that we know that spring, that season is associated with energy, revival of new thoughts. But here in this story, that positive energy or vitality is lost totally. The story deals with a child labor, and this is definitely a major problem throughout country, especially if we'll talk about our country. India has been facing lots of problems regarding this evil practice of child labor. So if I would define what is child labor, child labor is the work undertaken child that is harmful to them in some way. The labor could be harmful by making them sick, stopping them from getting an education, or damaging them emotionally. These are the few data. 2046 million children are child laborers. 73 million working children are less than to 10 years old, and every year 22,000 children die in work related accidents. If we talk about the slavery, 5.7 million children are forced for the bondage labor, and the largest number of working children are in that Asia Pacific region. Most children work in the informal sector, in homes or in the streets without any legal protection. These are the few pictures, okay. The childrens are working in small factories, shop, and being persecuted by the owner. These are the few organizations who have joined hands. They are doing a fantastic work. UNICEF, CRY, ILO, CACL, RYLA. So these are the few organizations. They are working. They are taking few steps to curb the problem of the child labor. Okay, the next we'll start about the author. So Anis Jung, born in Rourkela, year 1964, taken her education Hyderabad and USA. Career, a renowned writer, focus on the grinding poverty, traditions which condemn these children to life of exploitation, professions editor, columnist for various newspapers in India and abroad. Ways these are the children are exploited: fireworks, constructions, bangles, tea shops, mechanical sheds, brick industry. These are the other pictures. Why do children work? These are the few reasons: being born in a poor family, working to earn money and support them and their family. This is one of the reasons. Definitely, being poor, they have to work for earning money, getting work experience in order to get a better job in the future. There were other family members have been threatened with harm if they don't do the work, being taken against their will, used them, sold them to corrupt people, being offered jobs and tricked into accepting a job without understanding what is involved, often ending up in some situations, the situations which are unfamiliar for them. Contrasting picture is given here. Okay, these are the few contrasting pictures. Now, what is the theme of the Lost Spring? That story, plight of street children forced into a labor early in life and denied the opportunity of schooling, so they don't have any education, and that lack of education forces them to do involved into a child labor. So education plays very important role. We will talk about the story Sahibi Alam, story of Sahibi Alam. This is divided into two different parts. First one about Sahibi Alam, rag pickers life, plight of the rag pickers, and the second one is Mukesh, okay, bangle maker. So the story is divided into two different parts. We'll start first the Sahibi Alam story, rag pickers, and then the second one, bangle makers, story of Mukesh. He was a different boy, he aspired differently, he wanted to be a motor mechanic, even though he was also submerged in that poverty. So we'll start stigma of caste they have never come out from that. So this is the picture that Anish Jung picturizes a small boy from Simapuri, place in the periphery of New Delhi. She clearly tells how small boy Sahibi Alam, who is a rag picker, always scrounging for gold in the garbage dumps. Okay. Second one is also she picturizes about the boy named Mukesh. Mukesh assists his parents in bangle making. In his family, they still follow the Purdha system, and Mukesh wants to be his own master by becoming a motor mechanic. These are the few literary devices used in the Lost Spring, hyperbole. Okay. Garbage to them is gold, speaking some way exaggerated, sounds better. Paradox also is there, statement or concept in contains conflicting ideals. Poverty of Sahibi Alam, okay, richness of the club, list of metaphors, web of poverty, drawn in year of desolation, stills has bangles, list of hyperboles, scrounging for gold, garbage to them is gold. These are the paradoxes examples. Okay. Simile also is there. Know that explicit comparison between two different things. Simile. Okay, so let's start the story. So this is the part 1 of the story. Sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. It's about rag pickers' life, their miserable life. How do they fight? So when the story starts with asking questions. Why do you do this? I ask. The narrator, the author asked a question to Sahib. And who is Sahib here? A rag picker, a boy, small boy, whom he encountered every morning scrounging for gold in the garbage dumps of my neighborhood. So the story starts that way, asking a questions, why do you do this? The narrator asked the small boy rag pickers, okay, whom the author met every day. He came for searching gold. Scrounging means searching in the garbage dumps of the neighborhood. Sahib left his home long ago, set amidst the green fields of Dhaka. His home is not even a distant memory. There were many storms that swept away their fields and homes. His mother tells him that's why they left looking for gold in the big city where he now lives. So, this is the background of Sahibi Alam, how they had come from the Dhaka, Bangladesh, that storm that swept away their family, the tragic mishap that occurred, and they had come in different parts of our country, got settled, and they search for the dumps, sometimes get money and get astonished. So this is their profession, rag picking. They lead a very miserable life. So I have nothing else to do, he mutters, looking away. Go to school, I say glibly, realizing immediately how hollow that voice must sound. Okay, I have nothing to do, he mutters. The small boy answered back to the narrator, saying that I have nothing to do. He mutters, looking away. Go to school, I say glibly. So I advised the little boy Sahib, that's better to go to school. I say glibly. What is that glibly means? Speaking something carelessly. The moment he said, he realized that the advice was very hollow. It's not properly matched, not suited, because the boy had left school and nothing to do. How could they go for school without money, without care, protections? But even though the narrator, author asked the questions and advised him, go to school. So this is the background of the story. This is the background. This is the story about scrounging gold money in the garbage. Their profession is all about collecting those dumps, garbage dumps from their neighborhood. A story about Sahibi Alam, Sahibs who had come in India, settled here because a tragic mishap happened that swept away everything. In Bangladesh, Dhaka, we know that storm took place. So it's about going school, that narrator knowing everything, that education can only change their life, their problems, what they are suffering. Next page. Let me continue after that. There is no school in my neighborhood. When they build one, I'll go. So see the answer, that when I say go to school, the boy said that there is no school in my neighborhood, and when they build one, I'll go. No school in the neighborhood. See the condition, see that the infrastructure of the education system. So the narrator said, if I start a school, will you come? I ask, half joking. Yes, he says, smiling broadly. If you would start a school, I would definitely go. Few days later, I see him running up to me. Is your school ready? He raised a question. So I answered back that it takes longer to build a school. It's not a matter of joke. And the narrator said that I said, very embarrassed, definitely, at having made a promise that was made, but promises like mine abound in every corner of this bleak world. So, this is very important line, but promises like mine abound in every corner of this bleak world. So, sometimes we do keep promise, we do promises, but when we do not keep it, it's being failed. Definitely it's a situation of embarrassment, and same happened with the narrator. He said that I would start a school, I build a school, and now saying that it takes a longer to build a school. So these promises definitely is meant for what? Jokes to these poor people. After months of working knowing him, I asked him the name. So the narrator asked him his name. He said that Sahibi Alam announces he doesn't know that what it means. If he knew its meaning, then Lord of the universe, okay, then he would have hard time believing it. If he had known, if he would have known his name, the meaning of his name, Lord of the universe, he would have a hard time believing it. Unaware about the meaning of his name represents he roams the streets with his friends, an army of the barefoot boys who appear like the morning birds and disappear at noon. And over the months, I have come to recognize each of them. So these rag pickers, they come and then go away. Okay, so over the months I have come to recognize each of them. Why are not you wearing chappals? Once narrator asked them. So one answered back, my mother did not bring them down from the cell. He answers very simply. So he answers very simply that my mother did not bring them down from the cell, and even if she did, he will throw them off. Adds another who is wearing shoes that do not match. So they don't have that chappals or shoes, and if sometimes they have not matching, mismatched. When I comment on it, he shuffles his feet and says nothing. I want shoes. And a third boy who has never owned a pair of his life, traveling across the country, I have seen children walking barefoot. So this is somehow the picture that the narrator creates, the narrator presents in front of the readers. They do not have the shoes, they do not have the chappals, and they do not have the money, education. So their life is definitely very miserable. So this is the fact. Author said that I have seen children walking barefoot in cities or village, and it is not the lack of money, but a tradition to stay barefoot. It is not the lack of money, but a tradition to stay barefoot is one of explanation. It is not lack of money, but a tradition to stay barefoot. Okay, so I wonder if this is only an excuse to explain away a perpetual state of poverty. So this is not the tradition, this is all about what? Perpetual state of poverty. What is the perpetual state of poverty? Perpetual means permanent state of poverty. We know that the BPL, below poverty level, that line, that they never come out, they never cross that line, that border, and they remain, they plunked into that zone only, that perpetual state of poverty, that level, that below poverty level. We know in economics that the term we are acquainted with. So the narrator, author knew properly it's not possible for them to come out from that danger. So they remain in their life, they never come out, and they never do that education so that they could change the situation. So today's class up to here. Okay, next I would continue after that. So if I'll discuss, I would say, I would conclude my class. I would say that this is a story, this is the first part of the story, is about rag pickers' miserable life, their doleful conditions, how they are doing, they're working in different shops or working at the streets, picking rags, and their background also very very important, how they had come out and they got settled in India and have been doing the same work. They don't have any education, any helping hands, so that they could cross that line, that perpetual state of poverty. Okay, so I'd continue after that. Next classes we'll see. Thank you students for being with me. Have a nice day. Bye.